Bowling Green jersey.
Oh.
Live.
Ooh.
All right, we're live.
Almost there.
It says we're live, so
It does? All right,
Yep.
cool.
Go ahead.
Hold on a second.
There it is. I see it. It's there.
It's coming. Okay.
The rink is now live.
Cool. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Rinkcast Live 2.0 with your favorite cast of characters from therink.com. I am John Jekyll. Joining me is my co-host, Jeff Osborne, also known across the interwebs as Gatekeeper.
Talking house still. Gatekeeper, yeah.
All that shit, tough guy. We have a full house tonight of several of our writers, including Eric Andrews, Mario Tirabassi.
What's up?
Sean Fitzgerald, Juliana Nakash.
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 Ray's going to be all over that.
Lucas Roselle.
Hey.
Matt Shockey.
Hey.
And the effervescent and bubbly Sean Fitzgerald.
Don't forget Marie.
And Marie Sexton. Sorry, Marie.
Yeah. The Colorado Eagles expert.
That's right.
Boom.
That's right.
Oh, and she's rocking her Eagles jersey.
Look at that.
So, Gate, you want to introduce our first topic this evening?
Okay. Well, I mean, maybe we should go around the horn a little bit. I mean, we've had Juliana on the podcast before, but we haven't had Marie or Lucas on before. So maybe we want to start a little bit with the Avalanche world and the Colorado Eagles world, kind of let them talk a little bit about what they're doing over there on the Rink, Colorado. So maybe that's a good starting place.
Fantastic.
All right, Lucas, you want to go first?
Sure. Yeah, I'm Lucas. I write for all of the Colorado teams. So we cover DU, Colorado Eagles, and the Colorado Avalanche. Haven't been doing much since the pause, but before that, mostly just game recaps, a couple player interviews, just trying to get into it.
Yeah, there's not a lot to do for most of us right now at this point in time, unfortunately.
Yeah. And I'm Marie Sexton. I just am a huge Eagles fan, so just here for that. And you guys were talking about Notre Dame before we got started, and we just signed somebody from there, Callahan Burke.
Very cool.
Awesome.
All right.
Sorry, I'm in the middle of sharing social media stuff right now. So if anyone wants to take the reins and go with it for a couple minutes.
Sure, I'll be glad to take the reins and go with it. Why don't we, everybody else who has not spoken thus far, we'll start with Mr. Matt Shockey. Talk about who you are and what you do for the Rink, and maybe even a little bit of what you do otherwise.
Sure. I am Matt Shockey. I'm a writer for the Rink. I write for Blackhawks, do game recaps. Other than that, I from Wheaton, grew up a huge Blackhawks fan. And that's what brought me here in the first place. So
right on. How about Eric Andrews? Why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself, although you're well known to most of our readers by now.
Sure. My primary role with the Rink is as an editor. So I look over all of the articles and make sure everything looks good and that they're ready to go for being published. And occasionally I will write about prospects as well. Oftentimes that's more in the summer related to the draft and any development camps. So that's really my thing with the Rink. Like Matt, I grew up in Wheaton, Illinois, and we both went to Taylor University in Indiana. And yeah, that's about it.
Well, and without tipping our hand too much, Eric has a major prospect piece about to drop, and we won't take it any further than that. But you should all look for that on your Twitter feed coming soon. Well, let's go to Juliana Nakash.
There we go.
Yeah. So I'm probably one of the few people that's a Blackhawks fan that's not from Illinois. I'm from New York, and I became a Blackhawks fan because I didn't want to be an Islanders fan or a Rangers fan for a while, but then that happened. I go to Boston University. Besides going to Boston University, I also manage social media for the Boston Pride of the National Women's Hockey League. And what I do at the rink is I'm the editor besides Eric. And I edit articles when he is usually unable to, or if I get there first. And then I also write. I've written recaps and previews and all that stuff. So, yeah.
Excellent. Sean Fitzgerald, talk to us.
I'm Sean Fitzgerald, Monmouth College alum.
Fighting Scott.
Fighting Scott, right there. I am the Indy Fuel beat reporter, the ECHL. I also do some recaps for the Blackhawks. The Indy Fuel, surprisingly enough, actually, I don't know if we're going to have hockey later this year. They're going to play in an outdoor game. I saw that on the ECHL Twitter handle the other day, and I forgot. I think I retweeted it. And I forgot to. I'll try to write something up on it, but they're going to play in an outdoor game, December 31st, against the Toledo Walleye, I believe.
Nice.
Hey,
The Walleyes.
Yep. So at Fifth Third Field.
Right on. Mario Terabasi.
What's going on? My name is Mario. Do a little bit of everything for the rink, primarily covering the Rockford Icehogs, Blackhawks affiliate in the AHL. And yeah, just jumping around everywhere and keeps me busy. And if we're promoting things, I got a kind of a season recap for the Icehogs coming up in the next couple of days up on the site. So been procrastinating on it, but kind of waiting out to see if the AHL is actually going to, put the kibosh on the season, but I think that's kind of inevitable. So I'll write it as if the season's over.
Right on. Excellent.
Well, that's a good start. Yeah, that's a good start. Speaking of, with Sean bringing up the, if they're going to play, and now Mario talking about that too, we've the last couple of days heard a lot of weird things about what might or might not happen with, the NHL, hockey, or sports in general, with hearing stories about, possibly playing 7 teams in one rink, 3 games a day, and all these weird scenarios. I don't believe any of it for a bit. I just think it's all, they're just coming up with any idea they can, and none of them are concrete. And we're hearing more and more details on what Gary Bettman has said. Like just before we started recording, it was announced that Gary Bettman said that they never even considered using any site that doesn't have an NHL or doesn't have NHL ice there. So, Chicago, any NHL city. So Minnesota would be the Central Division, I guess representative, I guess you could call him. But he said that
site.
Host.
Yeah, host. And then he also said that, it's not necessarily geographic or by division. He said that, Minnesota would be one, possibly Raleigh, North Carolina might be one, Edmonton might be one, and that's 3 of the 4 right there.
So I read an article that Columbus is the 4th.
I thought I read Phoenix was the 4th.
Yeah, I thought from what I heard, and I don't know anything here, but that's the quote of the episode. I don't know anything here, but from what I heard is they were trying to stay away from cities like Chicago, New York, LA.
Yeah.
And I thought Ohio was, had a pretty high concentration of the COVID virus, so they might try to stay away from there.
No, it doesn't though. It's actually been not bad here at all, because our governor got out in front of it. See.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. I'll find the tweet that I read today.
No, that's fine.
No, because it's important. Because if it isn't Columbus, they're going to be playing where my kid plays Bantam.
Well, they said that's not an NHL rink though.
True, but I don't know how they do it then. How do they do it in one rink, all those teams?
That's what they were saying. They were going to run 3 games a day at an NHL rink. And that's 3 games a day, every day, like that in July. I can't see how you can keep the ice up to par.
That 3rd game every night is going to be terrible.
Probably the 2nd game. And then are they going to be practicing? Are they going to be having, you can't just throw them out there for games. They're going to have to work out. They're going to have to do something. They're going to have, skates, morning skates, something like that. So I just don't see how it's feasible.
So Larry Brooks, New York Post.
Larry Brooks
posted an article today
God.
that Columbus
Guess that's
is
what
the
I'm saying here,
favorite.
Brooksy.
Columbus is the favorite to host the Metropolitan Division teams. So in Columbus, they have a nice practice rink adjacent to the Nationwide Ice. It's in the same building. So,
yeah.
Could they use Ohio State's facility?
They could potentially use Ohio State too. I don't know. I mean, the NHL doesn't own Ohio State, so.
Well, that was the thing that I just read. I just read it before we went live, where I actually put it in the outline. It says the NHL never seriously considered playing games at non-NHL venues. That was off the table. Like Denver University was one of them that they thought maybe there would be a possibility. They said no, that wasn't even.
Aaron would have lost his mind.
Yeah, I don't know how you could logistically do this.
It's not going to happen
in July.
I don't think it's good. Well, I mean, maybe, but here's my theory. My theory is that they're planning this out and wargaming it out in the event that the disease really recedes quite a bit and they can do some form of games. But there's a number of issues, not least of which is would the PA approve it? But I don't know how, if there's, disease out there and virus out there and people are still getting sick. I just can't see players staying in hotels for that period of time, eating at restaurants, et cetera. I mean, it's just, it's madness. Really.
Well, yeah, that and what are you going to do? Are you just going to have like those 7 or 8 teams all play each other constantly? Because you're not going to want to be traveling. Flights are down. You're not going to want to be sending crews all over the United States, flying, maybe having connecting flights, doing things like that. Like you can't do that this close to what's going on with this virus. That you're just putting too many people at risk. And for what? To rush these. Yeah, it's going to be for money, but it's only going to be TV money because there's going to be no fans. Yeah. So what do you do?
The Flight Attendants Union came out like in the last hour and basically demanded that the federal government stop all non-essential flights.
Who did?
The Flight Attendants Union.
Oh, wow.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I actually have a relative who works for United Airlines, and I was speaking with my relative, and they said that like their flights are down to like 7% of normal.
Yep.
But because there is this bailout that they applied for from the government that they're all getting paid until like September.
Right.
So there's no layoffs for them, but
of
course there's layoffs for other people, but that was just interesting. I hadn't heard that. So that's some more interesting information. But
did you, piggybacking on the same topic, did you see the article that came out that said the NHL could proceed with the draft before possibly play resumes?
Yeah.
How did they do that?
I saw that one.
Excuse me.
Why?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. And that's like the free agency thing. Like you start games in July, these players, their contracts, they signed a contract that says they're a free agent on July 1st. Now something's going to have to change. They would have to all do some kind of legal proceeding with these to extend them, do something of that sort, because you can't be, icing someone who's not under contract for your team.
They also got to worry about the U.S.-Canada border being locked down.
Mm-hmm.
So are you gonna have to go around that regulation just to have games played?
And what if players went back to Europe? Like, what if they went home?
A lot
they got to come back.
Yeah, a lot of the guys went back home that are from overseas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think getting them back wouldn't be hard. I think the NHL could pull some strings and get some some flights, like a handful of flights from certain big cities where they could get, a number of those people over. I think that's more possible than them playing 3 games a day at one NHL rink for like a month and a half and thinking that ice is going to be worth anything afterwards, maybe for the playoffs, maybe for the next season. Like you're starting yourself off in the hole badly. Yeah. And that's just, it's not good.
Well, and players are going to risk their futures. Like if you play in July, theoretically the season starts again in October, you're already into your off season. So your conditioning's off, your body, like
you're risking a lot of injury there for sure.
Yeah. You're risking your long-term viability of your career for what, a month? For an extra month?
When they come back, they're gonna have to skate at first too. It's not like they can just go right back into it. They were saying that they would have to do like 2 weeks of training before they even played. So what's the point?
Right.
Yeah. All these players are coming back basically after having like a mini off season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's not an all-star break.
Marie and Lucas would be happy because all their players would come off of IR and they'd be able to play.
I know.
Absolutely.
All those injured players,
healthy.
they could storm through the playoffs, no problem. They've been well rested.
Yeah. Stanley Cup champions.
Yeah, then we'd have to endure another Aaron Goldschmidt article about trading Patrick Kane.
Oh yeah.
Oh dear.
Well, now that we've crushed everybody's dreams, what talk about next?
Well, let's see.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, there it is. I kept it in my backgrounds.
Oh
Perfect.
gosh.
Love it.
It is too good to not keep there. My favorite
Amazing.
background yet. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, let's see. How about the Grigorenko thing in Columbus? Since we haven't really talked about any Columbus stuff,
Sure.
we could talk about. It looks like Mikael Grigorenko. It's Mikael, right? Grigorenko.
Mikael Grigorenko.
Yeah, who had gone over. He was a member of the Avs, right? Wasn't he
Yes,
with
he
the
was.
Avs last?
He was.
Yep.
Yeah, he was before he
And,
went
Originally
down.
drafted by Buffalo, and then he was traded to the Avs. And I
Same with
forget-
Zadorov, right?
Yes.
I think Zadorov in that trade too.
Yes.
And,
Big centerman, big Russian centerman, more of a setup guy than a scorer. Apparently his game has improved a great deal the last couple of years in the KHL. And the Jackets have been scouting him pretty heavily, and they feel like he's ready to come back and help them out. So, and they need, if there's something that team needs right now, it is a little more scoring.
Secondary scoring big time.
Yeah. So,
well, yeah, I mean that's a big catch for them because he's pretty much from on a lot of boards. He was the free agent, the only NHL free agent or non-NHL free agent. He was on the top of the list, so that's big for them because they needed to bring in some big fish in Columbus. But then they signed the contract. Then the NHL struck it down because the season technically isn't over, so he can't sign a contract for the following season, according to them.
yeah.
But July 1st or whenever
Yeah.
that free agency happens, he will
It'll
sign
work
it.
out. It'll
Yeah,
work
sign
out.
that deal.
So we'll see. We'll see about him. And the Blue Jackets also announced today 2-year contract extension, $4 million average annual value to who is the guy who is probably maybe their de facto number one goaltender now. I don't know. I mean, I think he outplayed Korpisalo this year. I'm speaking about the aptly named Elvis Merzlikins. And Gate, I'd love to. I don't know how much you've seen him. I'd love to get your goaltending take on him. I feel like based upon what he did with the Jackets this year, $4 million a year is a pretty decent deal for them.
Yeah, it probably is. I mean, when he started out kind of slow.
He did,
but he picked it up real quick, and he finished the year strong. Was probably the starter, the 1A starter,
right?
And I mean, they had some injuries and stuff, but yeah, I mean, he looked like he was the real deal. So they could be onto something there after losing Bob. They might make their way out of this looking pretty well or smelling pretty well.
Was he the one that had like 7 shutouts and like 12 starts?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yep.
I think we talked about him in the chat. I think.
Yeah.
Pretty sure we
Yeah.
did.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a real big goaltender. I think he's like 6'1", maybe 180 pounds. So he's sort of like in that sort of size category, if you will, like of Antti Ranta, or Yaroslav Halak. But the other thing is for whatever reason, the team really rallied around him. Their shot blocks went up dramatically when he took over after Korpisalo went down. So that obviously helped them as well. But if he ends up being a serviceable, solid number one, that's a great deal for them. $4 million a year. Yeah.
Hey, at least they're not spending $11 million a year in goalies, right?
Yeah, for him to have a below 900 save percentage.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They rallied around him like Jeff Glass.
Oh boy.
Oh dear.
He can still surprise you.
Sean has already brought up Cristobal Huey and Jeff Glass, so you're on the shit list today.
Can Steve Passmore be far behind?
Hey, my hat,
The Boolin Wall.
Hobby Bowling, baby,
Nice.
Hobby Bowling.
I had a faded jersey of his up until like until my wife made me get rid of some t-shirts.
And you
I
got
think-
rid of that one?
Yeah, no kidding.
The number was like fading off of it. I don't think you
okay.
could see the K on his name.
I just.
I mean, you don't
wanna-
pronounce that anyways.
That's true.
I just want to say that I'm dazzled by Mario's jersey.
Yeah.
That is a really nice jersey, man.
It
But,
is.
I
but
really
Sean,
dig that.
yours isn't nice.
Mine isn't nice. Mine's the
Under- This is 2000. Gosh, what is it? 2001.
Really?
Yeah,
2001.
yeah.
Yeah, it's my cousin played at Notre Dame.
That's right.
In the 2000s. So I don't know
That's
if you
right.
I
can
think
see it.
mine-
Just in case he made it big, he signed it right there.
Oh
So-
wow.
Yeah, from the defunct CCHA.
That's right.
Ooh,
Which was a great
throwback.
conference, actually.
It's very hot.
Yeah.
I've got the
it's
Hockey
thick.
East one.
Nope, boo. Ew.
Yeah. That's
Well,
an
we
old
could go
one.
around the horn and everyone could give their input on the jerseys that they're wearing because
Yeah.
everyone got dressed up,
We could do that.
except for Matt. Matt didn't.
I
but
know. I
That's okay.
couldn't
Mine's
find it.
boring.
So is mine.
Let's go with Lucas. Lucas, what are you wearing there?
Just Avs jersey.
You got anything on the back?
Which player?
It's Ryan Graves.
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh,
Former
If
Eagle.
anyone who follows Lucas knows Ryan Graves.
Listen, he's a good player.
he is still
Hey.
mad the Rangers let him go. Still mad.
I'm pretty happy that they did.
I know you're happy, but
don't
I'm
really
mad
care for the
about
Rangers,
it.
so.
I'm being honest. My jersey is from the Ford. This is ancient. I mean, this is from their first few years, and I will be honest. I wasn't really aware of hockey. I wasn't watching hockey that long ago, but it had all the colors. I felt like it should come out today. I
Yeah,
do
it
have
is.
a
It's nice.
brand new Gabriel Landeskog jersey that needs to be repped. But
Ooh.
as the Eagles writer, I felt like I should be repping Eagles.
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
I'm
you're
with
like,
you on that.
you're like an old guard Eagles fan.
That's good though. We need more of that because we got Mario, who's like the original old school Ice Hogs guy. I mean, he is the expert, and now we've got the expert with the over towards the west. Yeah, the in Colorado with the Eagles. So I like these experts. When we had Evan here, we had the Indy Fuel. Now Sean's taking that over. So I like this minor league coverage we've got going on here.
I'll have to get an Indy Fuel jersey. I'm
Get
sure.
the,
I'm sure the
get-
wife will love that.
Get the black one.
I want a black one.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
get the black one.
Yeah,
They had the one that looked like the Winter Classic jersey, didn't they, for
they
Indy?
did. Yeah,
Yeah.
that,
Hmm.
That was a nice one.
those were sweet too.
That Rockford also did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rockford did the one from not the most recent Winter Classic, the black and white one. And then the one that I wish that they would bring back is the one that was in the same design of the 09 Winter Classic for the Blackhawks, but it was the cream color.
Oh, yeah.
The primary was the cream color.
Yeah.
Those were slick.
Yeah, they were different. They went a little different on that one, which is
Yeah.
I like that they did that. So that was cool.
Next time I'll wear my Tanner Kiro jersey from Rockford.
Oh, I'm
Beautiful.
back.
Oh,
my
my
gosh.
Lanta.
Beautiful.
Carol.
I loved him for no reason. He was not a good player. I have
No,
the
not at
back
all.
of my Kindle is me and him in a picture of the Blackhawks convention. Literally,
Perfect.
it's terrible.
He was
Wow.
David Camp before David Camp.
Yes.
He was.
That's a real good point.
Mine's just a plain. I'm one of the Blackhawks practice jerseys in black. It was cheap and it's light to wear, so
It's very
nothing
nice.
extraordinary for mine. No name or number on it. I left my David Runblad upstairs in the closet.
And it's the RBK.
Yeah.
Even before they went the full Reebok.
Yeah, these are nice ones. This is because it's so light, you can wear it like anytime,
Mhm.
and it was cheap too. So that Then again, so were a lot of the jerseys that are in my closet because they were all on clearance, like Artem Anisimov not Winter Classic, but Stadium Series jersey.
Did I ever tell you guys at the Blackhawks convention on a Sunday, I got the black kind of shiny face from Soldier Field for $20. The like authentic jersey, no name on the back. The guy goes $20, and I got a Stanley Cup like red with the Stanley Cup patch on for $20. And I was like, I handed him the 20 and ran away. I'm like, you screwed up. I'm taking this. Like,
was it like an independent vendor or something?
No, it was the official Blackhawks store. The Sunday, they just try to get rid of everything.
Clearance.
That's wild.
Yeah, because my wife got the Minnesota Stadium Series jersey with the stars on it, and that
the
was
black and white one.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, that was garbage.
I have it,
and I'm very well versed on that because let's just say I'm working on a collaboration piece having to do with jerseys, and those jerseys happen to be on them.
The worst one was the Washington Capitals jersey, the Capitals game.
That was the one where it was the throwback style, but they kept the current logo.
Yep. And then they just moved the tomahawks down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like those.
And then the next year they did almost the exact same thing, but they put the old logo on it.
It was 3 years in a row where they did white jerseys, basically did very little to them at all, changed the stripes just a little bit, and they flip-flopped the logos a little bit, but other than that, they really didn't do a whole lot to them. It was like 15, 16, 17, where they did those 3 in a row that were just garbage like that.
The ones that they'd had for the Minnesota outdoor game, I thought I gave them credit for at least doing something a little bit different. They didn't look great, but it was something different.
Yeah.
The Winter Classics where they were the white ones with, not great.
Now we're really going down the rabbit hole.
At least no one's got the lobster bib Colorado Avalanche jersey.
Those were bad.
Well,
my jersey this evening is that of my all-time favorite NHL player, who ironically was not a member of the Blackhawks and played for a team. Although he didn't actually, he was a member of the Blackhawks. I take that back.
Blackhawks legend Bobby Orr.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's the Boston Bruins throwback Bobby Orr. It's awesome. I love it. I don't wear it that often, but I love it because he was the best hockey player I ever saw. So
it could be thrown out there that he may be the best hockey player that ever played. Just because he played defense doesn't, and he didn't score a million goals like Gretzky did.
He scored a lot though.
He was so far and above better than any defenseman or maybe most of the forwards in that day and time. So
I've often said that Gretzky was the best player from the neck up and Bobby Orr was the best player from the neck down. Because physically he did things that were just incredible. And I mean, in addition to being probably the best skater in the league at the time, he was a point a game player as a defenseman. That's pretty amazing. I mean, this was in the 70s, not the 80s.
Yeah, Paul Coffey.
Right. And he also was pound for pound, maybe one of the best fighters in the league. I mean, the guy was just absolutely incredible, the stuff he could do. And I mean, if you ever get a chance to watch, any of those ESPN retrospectives on him, watch it. I mean, you see like the skates he's out there with are like the skates we used to buy at Ace Hardware for our Pee Wee games, and yet he's still like, the guy was just such an effortless skater and so gifted. And it was also the best penalty killer I ever saw. It was amazing. So Bobby Orr, ladies and gentlemen.
Waxing poetic about Bobby Orr.
I haven't read. I own the Orr book. I just haven't read it. Maybe during the quarantine I'll bust it out.
You may have some time.
Maybe a little bit.
Well, since we're talking about Boston and Juliana's here, we had some news in the NWHL that just recently was announced this week. And you are our NWHL expert, even though you don't write on our site about them. You are the NWHL expert as far as what's going on. So what's going on in the NWHL this week?
Yeah, so yesterday morning, the news came out that the National Women's Hockey League is expanding into Canada. the sixth team is going to be in Toronto, which is really exciting because that is going to be the first professional team that's in Canada since the CWHL decided to fold last year. So that's really exciting. And they signed 5 players. They named their team president. They named the owner of the team, and they haven't named the GM, coach yet, or where they're going to play, but they basically did everything else. And it's really exciting because, with everything that's been going on in the women's hockey world with the PWHPA and the NWHL, it's exciting to see that there is now growth happening in terms of the NWHL since, the last couple of years they've been pretty stagnant, although they got the Whitecaps 2 years ago. But you've seen a lot of growth this past year with the Twitch deal and the 50-50 revenue split and all this kind of stuff that's been happening in the league. It's really awesome to see all the success that they're having and seeing that there's going to be another team in the league that is going to be competitive. And it's exciting to see them especially expand into a city like Toronto, where obviously they love their hockey there. So it's a very exciting time, and I think everybody was pretty happy about it yesterday.
Yeah, it's just too bad it happened at a time when people are so worried about so many other things. They're kind of forgetting about sports and stuff at this point in time. But that'll be good to see in the future that they're expanding.
This has been planned for a while. I had originally first heard about it, I think, back in November. So this has been planned for about a year or so, and I think it just happened to fall, and unfortunately during a rough time. So I think a lot of people were thinking like this wasn't the best time to announce an expansion, but I thought it was perfectly fine since it's been in the process, in the works for a bit.
Yeah, at least it's because it's positive news. So
yes.
And it's sports news, and
yes.
people are craving that. And I read an article, I think a while ago, that they were saying that if both leagues wanted to survive, they ultimately had to merge together. So it's good to see that they're adding former CHL teams to it, and hopefully they can expand and add more teams in the future to keep the league's progress going.
Yeah, I know that they've looked at other cities. I'm not exactly sure where. I know some people were thinking maybe Pittsburgh or even Chicago because, there are a lot of women's hockey players from the Chicago area, Kendall Coyne, Hillary Knight, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the future. But I'm really excited about the Toronto expansion, because you have a team in another country in the league, which is awesome. It's not just the US, so obviously that's for a lot of traveling things too, but also another Toronto-Boston rivalry, which I'm excited for.
just what we needed, another one of those.
Yes. Everybody's saying it's going to be Toronto-Buffalo, but no, I have a feeling it's going to be a big rivalry between Toronto and Boston. It's like we don't really have that much of a rivalry in Boston with anybody else. Like we kind of get chippy with every team that we play, but Buffalo and the Metropolitan Rivers already have a rivalry in place. So it's time for us to get an actual rival, and I think that the Toronto team is the perfect opportunity for that.
Well, Boston was almost undefeated this year, so I don't know if there's any really space for a rivalry right now with that.
Yeah, especially because, I don't know when more signings are going to come out, but I have a feeling that most of the teams going to stay. Like, there's not going to be much change with Boston or many of the other teams. So if they can stay pretty much the same roster, maybe add a couple of other really good players, solidify, the third pair, and maybe like add a couple more forwards to the roster, I think that they're going to be a beast again next year. And they're, especially if we don't have the Isabel Cup final this year, like they're really going to be hungry next year.
Isn't the draft next week?
Yes. Also, news came out today that the draft is happening Tuesday and Wednesday. Round 1 is going to be on Tuesday at 7 p.m. And then I think rounds either 2-5 or 3-5 are going to be on Wednesday at 7 p.m. So that's exciting as well. Ready for that.
Is that on Twitch like everything else?
I believe so, yes.
Cool.
I will tweet out the link, and it'll obviously be posted everywhere else too on all the other platforms. Let me actually see if the NWHL said anything about where it's going to be. I have a feeling it's going to be on Twitch just because all the games are, so that would make a lot of sense.
So then is Toronto expected to be ready for next season or a season after?
Yes, they have already signed 5 players. 4 Canadians, 1 American, and they are drafting first in the first round. So they got the first overall pick next week, and then in each round.
Nice.
So second, they're going second in that round, and then third, fourth, and fifth. So they are going to be. They're basically just like, it's not like the NHL where we have the expansion draft and everything like that. They're just going to be able to sign players right away.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yes, Seattle, start listening.
I would not be surprised if Toronto names their team before Seattle does.
Yeah.
At this rate.
Yeah.
At this rate, yeah, definitely.
I forget to credit who, not to get off topic, but I saw someone tweet out like angrily, like Seattle needs to announce their team name now during the quarantine because hockey Twitter needs something to be angry about. I forget who tweeted that out, but
That's pretty good.
I agree.
I don't know. We're pretty hangry
I don't
anyway.
want it.
Any hints on what Toronto's team might be called?
No. So if you want to give team name suggestions, you can actually go to the NWHL's website and give team name suggestions, which I thought was really cool. So
cool.
You can decide like what you might want to name the team. There haven't been any leaks or anything yet. I think they're still in the process of deciding. So
What would you name it?
you can't ask me that. You can't put me on the spot like that. I got no idea.
The Toronto St. Patty's.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I have no idea. Definitely not the Furies because that was the CWHL team, and probably not the Thunder because that was Markham and Brampton when they were part of the CWHL. They went through like 3 different locations when they were part of the CWHL. I know they were Markham and Brampton. I'm not sure if they were anything else. So probably not those 2, but we'll see. I would like their jerseys to be red though, considering the fact that that's not taken so far. We have 2 blue teams, or bluish purple for the Whitecaps. So
Well, the red
I would like to see red.
The red would play into Canada pretty well.
Yeah, exactly. I would like to see that, especially because like they have 3 teams or 2 teams there that are 3 teams that are blue in Toronto, the Argos and the Leafs and the Blue Jays. So I would like to see red.
Well,
And the Marlies.
Oh, and the Marlies, yeah.
if we know we can leave it up to the internet, it'll probably be the Leafy McLeaf faces. So just saying.
This is true.
Not that I didn't already suggest that or anything, but
Yeah.
just
He's already been to the website. Your IP address has already been logged.
Not a bad suggestion. I bet you that's better than what some other people put. So.
that'll get some votes.
So what else do we have to talk about here, John?
We had some questions.
We do have some questions. We had some Blackhawks stuff go on. We don't get to hear a lot about what's going on in Colorado though. So maybe Marie, is there anything going on interesting and new going on over there with the Colorado Eagles at this point?
Well, the only thing I can really talk about is some signings that we had in the last couple of weeks. New guys, Callahan Burke from Notre Dame, Charlie Gerard from Minnesota State University. I won't claim to know anything about those incoming prospects. I wait until they show up on my ice before I judge.
Yeah.
But we also re-signed both TJ Tynan and Ryan Wagner, who had come over this past year from the Chicago Timberwolves, I believe. And TJ Tynan is amazing, second in the league in assists, I believe. He has 42 assists in 42 games. That was a good re-sign. And then Jacob McDonald, they just signed for 2 years, actually. And he's amazing. He had 16 goals this year, 26 assists. I think he leads the league in defensemen for goals, although he played forward for probably almost half the year. He's just as good playing forward as back, which is why it's great to bring him on. That does mean, if I have all my numbers right, that we will have to lose Dan Renault, because you can only have the one defensive player who's between 260 and 320, or veteran player between 260 and 320 games. You know, there's a rule, and he and Dan Renault would both fall into that category. And since they signed McDonald, obviously that means Renault is out. But otherwise, we're just going to have to wait and see if some of these guys whose contracts are up this year, like Logan O'Connor, AJ Greer, Jason Vigna, Michael Jolie, those are all guys. Just have to wait and see if they re-up those contracts.
Yeah, and they were in second place in the Pacific Division when play halted, so that's stinks for them. It looked like they were having a good year.
Yeah, we've really been trending upwards since December, about mid-December,
Mhm.
and maybe even had a chance to take over that first place spot in our division, but it's not going to happen now.
They're doing a little bit better than those Ice Hogs, Mario?
A little bit.
Yeah, it looks like what they were.
They were fifth.
Yeah.
When the season ended, I think without the standings right in front of me, I think they were like I think they were a point or two out, but based on points percentage at the time of the season.
Your division is crazy though, because you have that huge spread from like first place to third place is like 25 points or something.
Yeah, Milwaukee and I almost said Minnesota. Milwaukee and Iowa were they were having their own race, and then everyone else was fighting for third and fourth. I mean that having formerly covered the Admirals, I feel really bad for them because they looked like just they were going to run through the rest of the league, into the postseason, and
although we beat them, I just want to point out.
Well,
go ahead.
But, I mean, they were looking very strong as the postseason was coming along. So, it's tough for them. But yeah, I mean, the Ice Hogs, I think that they were a bit up and down, but they in the kind of the middle section of the season, but they were kind of hitting a bit of a stride as some players were getting healthy down the stretch of the year, and I think that they had a decent shot at the postseason, but it was going to be a bit of a struggle. But yeah, I mean, for the injuries that they dealt with, and just the youth of the team this year, I think that they held their own. They saw a couple players make some pretty good strides in their first year of professional action with Brandon Hagel and Mackenzie Entwistle were two top rookies this year. Nicholas Bowden, late bloomer this season. He started to look good in the last maybe month of the season. And I mean, it's tough for them. The way that they were playing, the way the season kind of getting put to a halt, but they were in the thick of it. And our guy Colin Delia was holding down the net pretty well back half of the season. So would have liked to have seen him, how he would have finished out the year. And I mean, from all indications, might have been another pseudo type of tryout for the Blackhawks to say, he's ready for the NHL.
You mean he was going to take time away from Malcolm Subban?
I mean, he could have taken the minute and 37 away from him. Who knows?
But that means Tompkins would have played at Rockford, and Eric would have lost his mind about that.
I mean, Tompkins isn't. He's not bad. I mean,
he's a good AHL goalie.
Yeah, if he's going to be one of the in their rotation in the AHL next year, that's pretty much right where he fits in. So
yeah. Well, I know we have done a lot of talking about goalies lately, just because of the situation that's going on. How they signed that Division III goalie, that French goalie, and they're going to have a couple goalies coming back next year. Plus, there was the talk about Alexei Gravel, who the Blackhawks technically have to sign by I think it was June 1st, or they lose his rights. And I thought that was a slam dunk that he was going to end up with the team. So there's a lot interesting going on with a lot of interesting things as far as the Blackhawks, at least the AHL, borderline NHL level with goalies. And then,
They've had such luck with French goalies over the years.
I'm surprised with the direction that they've kind of been going with Gravel. I would have thought he would have been signed once the minor league season was, or the junior season was over. I mean, I really am surprised. I'd be very surprised if they didn't sign him, but I mean, it kind of just looks like all of their depth in net is kind of getting packed together, and I mean, I really don't know what their plan is.
I will confirm. You heard it. You're hearing it here first at the rink. I have seen Alexei Gravel selling his junior goalie equipment from Halifax on certain goalie marketplaces. So yeah.
Did you buy it?
I thought about it because
Was it on the dark web?
no, it was not. But I thought about it because I'm left-handed. He's left-handed, but his gear is just a little. His leg pads are just a little too big for the short, angry troll here. So,
yeah, he's got good size to him.
Yeah, and ironically though, it wasn't that much. It was like an inch or two, and he's like over 6 foot, and I'm 5'7" on a good day. So
6'3".
Yeah, that's a big difference. He uses smaller pads than I would have thought.
Yeah.
Usually they're using like 36, 37 inch pads, and his are only like 34s or 35s. So anyway, goalie geek talk. Sorry. I do want to throw you something here. You might not even be prepared for, but I got to ask about this guy, and I'll give you a little story afterwards of why I'm asking you about this guy. But Ian McCoshen, what do you think of him? I mean, he came in as probably like Sorella defensive wise, that level of prospect, like one of the better defensive prospects in the system. But you don't hear a lot about people clamoring for Ian McCoshen to show up on the roster. And I know he's a free agent at the end of the year. So what are your opinions of Ian McCoshen that they got from Florida for Sorella earlier in the year?
Initially I was surprised that this entire season he didn't get a look in the NHL. I really thought that he probably would have been maybe one of the top 2-3 players that, if injury or whatnot, that the Blackhawks would have given a look. But it really didn't look like he was in their plan. I mean, we saw Lucas Carlson and Dennis Gilbert and Nicholas Bowden at the end of the season all get looks coming from Rockford up to Chicago. I was surprised that McCoshen wasn't involved in that. He's kind of in that middle ground of, I know we talked about it the last time we did one of these, kind of the 4A player where he's really skilled at the AHL level. He's not a flashy defenseman. He's not going to put up a ton of points, but he does everything that you ask of him at that level. I don't really know how much his game has translated to the NHL level. I know when he was with Florida, he had a handful of games with them, but I just think with Chicago, they were kind of set in who they wanted to play this year defensively. And, with Adam Boquist becoming, an NHL regular, I think, when he started the year in Rockford, I don't think Chicago really was planning on him being in the NHL as much as he was, but he ended up playing his way in. And, I think McCoshen's a good player. I really don't know if they bring him back, what kind of NHL, look they could maybe promise him.
And also they have like Ian Mitchell coming and, Alex Dragula.
Exactly.
Like those are two new players that are coming, and they have to unload players on their NHL roster to get room for defensemen. So
right,
that's what you get when you draft all defensemen or trade for all defensemen and stuff.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, you have Mitchell coming into the fold. It seems like the Blackhawks like Dennis Gilbert a lot. Lucas Carlson in the short stint that he had in Chicago didn't do anything to show that he didn't deserve it. And I have a feeling that Nicholas Bowden might be, whether he's ready or not, is going to be the player that they start to give more opportunity to. So I don't know. I really don't know where they fit McCoshen into that, if he is part of their future plan. But I know that he's young, he's serviceable. He might be a really good top 2 AHL defenseman, maybe a 6 or 7 with another team. I don't know. I really don't see where he fits in given the players that they have now. the direction they want to go and players that they have behind them.
Yeah, and then they had TJ Brennan too. So,
Oh, yeah.
How many times have they reacquired him? Twice? 3 times?
17.
This was his second go around with the Ice.
Is he the Carl Everett of Chicago now? Where the Whitecaps, we're going to reacquire Carl Everett and Roberto Alomar because we need them.
No, that's Jeremy Morin.
yeah, I was just gonna say Jeremy Moore.
Morin.
Now, speaking of player shirts, I have Jeremy Moore one upstairs.
Nice.
Oh.
Nice.
I should have brought that one out.
Well,
Yeah, Brennan was. I don't know. There's a story there.
Yeah, I saw a tweet somewhere about something, but yeah, it's interesting for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he when he because he was with Lehigh Valley, and he went from 3-time AHL Defenseman of the Year to, he's just age is probably catching up with him, and
Amen.
From when he got traded here, I was talking to some people who I know are affiliated with the Philly organization, and I was just like, has he been hurt? Like, I wasn't totally following everything going on with him, and they were just like, he's been sitting at home. They had him away from the team basically. So it was interesting to see that move be made. He came in, played right away, didn't look bad for the roles that they gave him, but then the season was kind of cut short and didn't really see what kind of role he could play with them. So yeah. I don't foresee him coming back.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't see the use that they would have for him.
No, not at all. So. Well, that was our AHL segment. We went from Colorado to too bad we don't have Ron here. He could have done the Wolves and we would have been killing it here.
Need to get a Cleveland Monsters AHL writer.
Yeah,
on the
we
site.
Should. Yes, we do. That's one of our many needs, writing needs. We just need, but we need stuff to write about.
Right.
How much point in recruiting writers when we don't have anything to write about?
They can detail the historic career of Anton Forsberg.
Oh, yes, they can. That's right.
There you go.
I'm just naming out all the bad goalies.
Where are they now?
Yeah. How about JF Berube?
That's what I was
Oh
about
God,
to say.
that's a name.
There's
French
a name.
French for can't stop a beach ball.
French for better in the press box.
Yeah.
Another guy that they AHL team let him just kind of go home before the season was over.
Yeah. Yeah, that's happened a couple of times.
Yeah.
So, all right, what else we got here? Well, we did talk about Ian Mitchell and Michal Teply too. I know Eric, you're the prospect guy too, so you could probably weigh in. What do we think about Teply? Can he, make a difference in Rockford next year?
I mean, I think at the time that they drafted him, he was probably a little bit under the radar. Not too many people were super familiar with his game. And then it seemed like once he made the commitment to come over to the CHL after being drafted by Winnipeg, that kind of, I don't know if it flipped a switch for him or what, but he looked really good in the CHL this year. I don't have his stats in front of me, but I think he scored somewhere in the vicinity of 25 or 30 goals this year.
I think he was close to a point per game.
He had 29 goals, 34 assists for 63 points.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. So, I mean, a pretty strong first year in the CHL. And, I mean, who knows if that'll transition to the pro game. We'll have to see. But, I mean, you have to at least like that he was able to do that.
Yeah. He looks like he's a decent sized player. He's like 6'3", isn't he? 6'3", maybe over 200 pounds. So, I mean, that could go either way. If he's not fast enough and can't keep up at the AHL level, then that could be trouble. Right. You turn into Radovan Bondra then, or something like that.
Oh,
that's a name.
Oh man,
I had high hopes for that guy too.
Prospect camp favorite.
Yes, he was in prospect camp. He was a maniac, and he was like 6'4". Yeah. He was just plowing through people, and then he couldn't barely break the lineup in Indy, unfortunately.
Yeah. Teply will be interesting because he's in that same situation that Boquist was in, where he could go to Rockford as being under 20 years old because he was technically drafted out of Europe, or he could play another year in Winnipeg if that's where Chicago decides to put him. But yeah, I mean, he's a good sized player. I mean, I think he was the 4th overall pick in the import draft for the WHL. So, I mean, they liked what they saw out of him at the junior level, and it translated pretty well.
Okay, so moving on just slightly, and it's ironic that Aaron's not here for this, but some of the Colorado folks who do cover DU could probably speak on this as well. The big news, and everyone's was so worried that whether Ian Mitchell was going to sign with the Blackhawks or not, and it was another one of those cases where there was never any doubt he was signing,
Right.
and the whole thing. But he had a really good year. I mean, Lucas may be able to give us a little bit more of an insight on the year that Ian Mitchell had, but and I know Aaron could if he was here, but
Yeah.
to that. So
I only really kind of jumped into DU coverage about halfway through the season, so I don't really have like the full scope on him.
Mhm.
But from what I've seen, I mean, I think he has areas to improve, definitely, but he's definitely a good skater. He jumps into the rush a lot. He's good on offense. I think defensively, they're going to want to see him tighten up a little bit more. But I mean, I think that he's going to do well for Chicago, but I don't know if y'all should be pinning like the future of the franchise on him. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter doing that.
there you go.
I don't
No.
quite
Thank
agree,
you.
but-
Yeah, I mean,
We need something to be hopeful for.
yeah, but
Oh,
every
I mean,
year,
like, yeah, he'll be good, but I mean, like, it's not like this one player is going to fix it.
He's no Kel McCarr.
Well, see, now I like to see someone from another market saying that, because it seems like it's always, Mario
us.
and Eric and John and I always saying like, don't
Pump the
don't put
brakes.
hopes into this guy. He's not going to step right into the lineup and
Yeah.
turn into Cale Makar. I mean, that's so rare that something like that actually really happens.
I mean, yeah, I don't really look at any one player as like they're going to fix the franchise. I mean,
Yeah.
even Cale Makar coming in, like we knew he was going to be really good, but I think a lot of the improvement we saw from last season to this wasn't just him. It was more of like we got a lot of new guys. I mean, just hinging your expectations on one like fresh out of college player, I don't think is the way to
Yeah.
do it.
I totally agree, Lucas. Thank
It's
you.
happened so many times
Yeah.
here in Chicago. It's every year. It's Dylan Sakura one year.
Drew LeBlanc,
Oh my
it was-
God, don't
Oh,
It
true.
happens.
Drew LeBlanc and his
Carey.
YouTubes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think if Ian Mitchell turned into 75% of Cale Makar, Stan Bowman should go out and buy a lottery ticket. I mean, the reality of it, and I'm not going to claim to be the world's biggest expert on Ian Mitchell.
Aaron will.
Yeah. And, I mean, Aaron and I have a bit of banter, to borrow Jake Martin's term, back and forth around college players and perhaps overvaluing college players in terms
John,
of their
it's exhausting.
I've exhausted Aaron so many times, but we'll see. I mean, but Gate, I mean, and Lucas, you nailed it. I mean, every year, every summer in Chicago, there is a prospect who is going to be the salvation of the franchise. He's going to turn everything around. And to varying degrees, it never happens. I mean, probably the one guy I would say kind of did it was Brandon Saad in 2012, but that was a great team. And they were able to slot him in with 2 future Hall of Fame players on the top line, and but he contributed a lot. But I mean,
He also
Even-
had half a season in Rockford to
right,
Yeah, to
exactly.
get ready.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I mean, DeBrincat, his rookie year, he was terrible the first 20, 25 games. He was pretty good after that. But at the end of the day, I mean, these guys, a lot of these guys that get this buildup every year, and it's always, one year it was Tara Vinen, another year it was Nick Schmaltz, and
Marco Dano.
yeah, I mean, it's always somebody. And the reality of it is,
When they pursued Jimmy VC.
right.
Oh,
And
God.
yeah, I mean,
Be glad you didn't sign him.
yeah. I mean, it's very rare that a kid comes right out of college or right out of junior and is an impact player. Yes, Patrick Kane did it, but how often do you get a Patrick Kane in your system? Maybe once every 20 or 30 years. So everybody just chill out about Ian Mitchell, please.
Yeah.
Even at the AHL, I feel like we see that all the time, that people overvalue the prospects. They watch them in NCAA, they watch them in juniors, and then they're like, this is it, this is the kid. And maybe in Colorado, it's not, they're going to save the Avs because the Avs are doing okay, but there is this big hype that they're NHL ready. This is it. They're going to just dominate in the AHL, and they don't. You know, they show up, and the AHL is harder than people think it is. And I think a lot of these people who watch the NHL and they watch the prospects, there are a whole lot of them that never bother to watch an AHL game, and so they don't see that these guys don't just step in and dominate very often. It takes, I mean, there's a reason that the average entry-level contract is 3 years long. You know, it takes a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the AHL is a different animal than the NHL, because you have a mix of, you know, okay, here's young guys making their first year in the professional game, and then you have guys that are maybe 7-8 years into their professional career, and they're scrapping to try and just keep playing hockey, keep getting contracts.
Right.
And, you know, there's guys on the cusp of playing in the NHL, and some guys, their job might be to rough some people up. So they're going to be, you know, extra physical on players that, you know, maybe are coming into the league in their first year, and they don't know the speed of the game, the physicality of it, and take advantage of it. So, I mean, yeah, I look at a guy like Brandon Hagel. You know, he came out of the WHL as, like, I think he was like the third or fourth highest scorer his last year in the WHL, like 110 points or something like that. He comes into the AHL this year, and he was a good player for Rockford, but far from one of the top rookies. So I mean, it's the jump from junior to the NHL. There's still a big step to take even at the AHL level. So when you look at guys like Doc and Boquist, they were able to make those steps this year and not look like they were in over their heads. But it's rare that you get that's rare that you get guys like that in their teens that can make that jump. So I think Mitchell's 21. You know, he's had a couple years in college. If he can make that jump right away, great.
Yeah, but it's going to be, there's going to be an adjustment too. No doubt. I mean, there is for Boquist, who was dominating, you know, in junior and was having a decent AHL year. Like,
yeah,
he came up and he just looked like a normal player. There wasn't anything that really stood out, but yeah.
Well, it isn't the scoring, like the amount of points people put up in juniors, like completely and utterly not even close to what their potential is in the NHL or something. Like we discussed the last time we were on, Dave Bolin was a prolific scorer in juniors, and he never really translated to the AHL and then the NHL after that.
Kyle Beach,
mm-hmm. Yep. And yeah, I read, there was a book I read, it was an AHL book about just players like playing in the AHL and how different it is for other leagues. And like Mario was saying, there's career guys who maybe they're just below being able to play in the NHL, but they're pretty good for the AHL, and they get that NHL contract, and that's like their livelihood. It's different than it's definitely an adjustment period for, I think, that everybody, unless you're a top 3 pick, you're not going to go directly to the NHL, or especially if you're like a 5th round pick or 4th round, like you're going to need that seasoning. And Ian Mitchell, if I correct me if I'm wrong, he was a 5th rounder, right?
No, he's second.
No. Okay.
That was when they went like they did 2 defensemen.
It was Yogi Haru and then Mitchell.
Gotcha.
Yogi Haru, Mitchell, and then the next year it was Boquist and Bowden, and they had picked another defenseman too in there somewhere. So
Alex Vlasic.
Moberg.
Go be you.
Yeah. Well, let's see. We talked about Teply. We talked about Mitchell. I mean, I don't know. What else do we talk about? The questions? Let's do questions, maybe.
Get into some questions.
Yeah. Well, Jackie Davis sent in. I see there's some other questions here, but Jackie Davis sent in. Not so much going on here, and this is going to light me up. Here's my question. too much talk about bringing back Big Buff. I hope not, but Stan simply can't help himself. Which former Hawk does he bring back, or which over-the-hill player does he sign? You can't bring Bufflin back. You're not going to be able to afford him. They can't afford the guys that they have. They have to shed salary just to be able to make moves and stuff. Bufflin's going to make, if he can play, he's going to make in the area of $3.5-4 million at least. So,
and the thing is, like, they terminated his contract because he couldn't decide if he wanted to play or not. It's like, we don't even know if he wants to play. We don't even know if he's going to come back at all. So there's no point in investing in that.
And his level of conditioning when he did play, I heard rumors that he was close to 400 pounds at one point. Like, that's how, he was huge.
300, yeah.
300 pounds, I'm sorry.
Yeah, 300.
But I mean, even 290 for a hockey player is a lot.
But still,
that's a big boy.
And we've seen this story before. Andrew Ladd, like, it doesn't work. You can't go home again, to quote Bon Jovi.
Yeah, I love Dustin Bufflin. He's a great kid. He is a very unusual athlete in that he could be an effective NHL player at 275 pounds. And one time when he was at around 245, I actually saw him in person skate down Sergei Fedorov from behind, and that's pretty amazing. But you know what? I mean, he's 35 years old. He's coming off a serious lower body injury, which at his weight is a big problem potentially. And, the money involved, et cetera. And the Hawks, I mean, yes, any team could use a guy like Dustin Bufflin, but Dustin Bufflin, if he can still play, makes the most sense for a team that is a playoff contender, because in the playoffs is where he's really a difference maker. And the Hawks aren't, and they can't afford to spend that kind of money on a guy on the odd chance that they might make the playoffs when they still have so many other holes. It's just stupid.
Yeah, well, we all know this, but the average person is just going to remember the name Bufflin, and they have a jersey that they bought, a Hong Kong Classic that they bought after they won the Cup in 2010, and then they want him back because they want to be able to wear that jersey again.
That's just so stupid.
Well, yeah, I'm sure this narrative is being fueled by the replay that NBC Chicago did of the 2010 Cup run, and everyone's seeing young Bufflin dominating against that. Exactly. It's a completely different player 10 years ago than he is now. Yeah, to John's point, it's if he can play a specialty role on a playoff contending team, that's what he's looking for. You're not going to get, top four pairing Dustin Bufflin that's going to play 20 minutes a night. And that's unrealistic to get out of him after missing an entire season where he's probably just hanging at home in Minnesota, just chilling.
And has been for a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
For an entire year.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's going to be the next thing, the thing next year. I mean, everyone just jumps to the assumption, we're just going to buy out Ali Mata, and they're going to buy out Zach Smith, and everything's going to be fixed, and all this great stuff's going to happen. I'm like, I don't know that this team is any better without Ali Mata out there.
Agreed.
No. Agreed.
And,
No.
what are you doing that's not addition by subtraction. That's subtraction by subtraction.
Yeah.
Oli Mata and Zach Smith were relatively
Serviceable.
effective in their roles that they needed to
Matt.
play. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're trying to buy anybody out, it's the defenseman who's over the hill, overpaid, and coming off of $6 million man surgery.
But he's got the buyout proof contract that won't really even help them out. So they're stuck with hoping that he's, hoping that that term compliance buyout comes around,
Right.
which, the second that is announced, he will be bought out, and, or him being injured, which, would be unfortunate. He did have, the shoulder and two hips operated on. So it's not like, it's not too far fetched to think that could happen, but
he's such a great guy in the locker room.
yeah, he's,
So great.
He's
So worth
OCD
$7
of the
million.
Coach then.
Yeah, that they're going to have to trade or, worry about being able to sign Kubalik to an extension, or be worried about signing maybe Dylan Strome, since we found out that was kind of hogwash, but, re-signing one of these RFAs or UFAs or something like that or signing Corey Crawford to be their starting goalie for next year because Brent Seabrook is making $3 million more than he probably should.
Yeah, I mean, if the team is trying to move forward, their loyalty to the guys from the one goal era teams needs to take a step back, because it's
a big step.
Outside of Taze and Kane and Keith to a limited extent, those are the guys that from that era are worth anything anymore. Corey Crawford, you get him on it 1-2 year contract. If you have no other contingency plan in goal, fine.
They have no other contingency.
Exactly.
No.
They
Exactly.
Traded
So
Robin
it's-
Leonard. They couldn't get a deal done with him. So
Yeah.
Well, I don't think that they. I think they didn't want him to stick around.
It's seeming more and
Ridiculous.
more like they got to a point where they were just like, oh, he's going to be too good. We're not going to be able to afford him. We're just going to let him go, because everything that I heard, they really wanted a low ball. More wanted him for 2 years, and he wanted like a long-term 5 to 7 year deal.
he deserves.
Yeah, he totally deserves that. And
Well, for a team that really keeps a lot of the personality of their players tight to their vest, I don't think that they liked what he was doing and being an attraction post game and whatnot. So
Right. I agree.
I mean, it was a breath of fresh air for this, for the Blackhawks to have somebody who was going to be honest and, give have kind of a voice within the league. That was refreshing. And I don't know, I guess it's a difference of character, I guess. That's what I chalk it up to, why Robin Leonard's not around. Because if you're looking at what he did on the ice, he deserved an extension, no question.
yeah, the second it turned January 1st, he should have had an extension. But they wanted to do it this way, and I don't know. I mean, maybe they have a plan, maybe they have an idea, something we don't know about. Maybe Eric has some ideas about this in the future. I don't know, but right now it doesn't seem like they're going. It doesn't seem like they have much of a plan, and that's scary, because when you don't have a guy that can stop the puck. You just look at what the Blues did before they finally found Bennington that could actually just stop a puck at a league average level. If the Blackhawks can't do that with their defense this year, they would have been a nightmare if they didn't have two goalies that were playing all-star level, hockey all year long.
We would have been the Red Wings.
Yeah.
Historically bad, for sure. I mean, they might have scored a lot of goals, but they're going to give up a lot more. And
Their defense is terrible.
Yeah.
Who the Hawks couldn't beat, by the way, the Red Wings, in one of the last games that we actually played.
The game
Yeah.
that Subban should have played in, for crying out loud.
Yeah. Yeah.
Give the man his one game to play.
No, they're going to make a playoff run. That's what they were going to do. That's what they thought. Yeah.
The playoff payoff.
They were going to play Corey Crawford every single game until he got hurt, and then claim that they were
died.
going on a playoff run. Yeah.
Until he went to a concert and fell down a stair.
Oh gosh. Any former first round busts that we can trade for that are goalies?
I bet we could do that.
I'm sure there is.
I mean, look out for that. I'm just saying, Stan likes those guys.
Thatcher Demko.
Oh gosh.
You want Henrik Lundqvist?
We want to get
from
older.
5 or 6 years ago,
Yes.
sure. Juliana, sure.
When he took the
Please.
Rangers to
Well-
the cup against the Kings.
Well, the thing is, he's still a very good goalie, but he wasn't playing out of his mind like Georgiev and Shesterkin were. So there was no way he was going to play for the rest of the season. And I'm going to be really sad if his career ends with a buyout, because he doesn't deserve that. But
Yeah. I don't think it will. Somebody will take a chance on him.
no, I don't think so either. I think he's still too good to not play for a team, especially if he goes to a team that needs a backup really bad. Like, I think he would still be willing to do that.
Florida.
But I don't know what's going to happen. But it's depressing me, honestly. It's making me depressed.
What about the Flames? They need a steady goalie with Rittich too.
Yeah.
Sure.
Send him there. I don't know if I could see Henrik wearing Flames colors, and I'm a Flames
No, I
fan,
can't.
so
Well, that's the thing
Yeah,
is I
it'd
can't
be
see
weird.
him wearing anything else but a Rangers jersey. Like, it's going to be so weird if he does. But Who
Like-
knows?
I
Like
don't
Bobby
think
Hull wearing a Whalers jersey.
I don't
Yeah.
think Lundqvist's style fits. I don't think Lundqvist's style fits Calgary very well.
No.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, we have like a 3-prong question here, and it's for the Colorado crew, probably led by Lucas. The first one is if the Avs make the playoffs, do they go with Gru, Frankie, or split the net, or the hot hand?
That one's difficult. Just because Grubauer was out for so long. He had some some good stretches, but he was so injured we didn't really get a good look at him. But Frankie's been playing out of his mind lately, so honestly, they might have done tandem, but they also might have just, if Frankie had a couple really good games, they might have just ridden him because he's been pretty outstanding.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they went with him. I mean, with the extension he signed and then seemed to be, he was the hot hand for a while. You just might as well, that's what wins you a Stanley Cup, a hot goalie in the playoffs. So yeah.
The one note about Frankie is his he kind of got bailed out for a little bit there, just because the Avs had really high scoring games. So on some of the games, he let a few more through than he should have. But I think for the most part, he kept it pretty tight. He got that we had that road trip where I think he allowed 2 goals in 4 games or something like that. He had a shutout and then a 1-goal game. It was crazy.
Yeah, that's I agree with you on that one. The second one, if the Avalanche have to choose between Zadorov and Graves, who should they extend? In parentheses, this is for Lucas, clearly.
Pulling at the heartstrings.
No, I mean, it's a good question because I think that is the question for the offseason. I think there's arguments both ways. I think Zadorov is definitely more physical in the play. He throws a lot more hits. But he's also really inconsistent. He has been this season. He had a streak of brilliance where he was shutting people down, but then he just kind of, I don't know if he stops trying or just gets off his rhythm, but he's had some nightmare games also. So there's that. I've also heard rumors he's hard to work with. I don't know if there's any truth to that, but that's something that was a point in favor of trading him. But he has more experience. I think with Graves, in my opinion, which is biased, I think he's definitely he's improved so much from last season. I want to see how much better he gets because he's been pretty consistent. And in terms of chemistry, he's worked the best with Cale Makar, I think, this season. So there's arguments both ways. I'm not sure.
Man, when you guys were talking earlier about Graves coming from the Rangers, I'm thinking Adam Graves. That's how old I am, John.
Why?
I'm thinking Peter Graves from Mission Impossible.
I was thinking Danny Graves from the Cincinnati Reds, New York Mets.
Oh my God. Oof. Jeez.
Now you're really good. That's a deep cut right there.
Yeah.
You're stressing me out.
That's how my brain works. It's all over the place.
Yeah, and the last one is, will Logan O'Connor make the Avs next season? Can he replace Nieto on the 4th line? And I guess Marie can maybe jump in on this one too.
Well, I'm biased. I know my Eagles. I won't claim to know the Avs anywhere near as well. But Logan O'Connor's awesome. He's amazing. I absolutely think he could be a 4th-line player for the Avs next year.
What type of player is he? For
Scrappy.
those not familiar. Scrappy, yeah.
He's fast. He just goes 100 miles an hour the entire time. He never
Energy
lets
player.
up. He's just
Cool.
yes.
Yeah, because here a 4th-line player could be anything from Dylan Sakura, who doesn't go anywhere near contact, to Andreas Martinson, who just
Oh God.
only hit people, can only hit people, can't hit the puck or anything like that. But
Yeah, I think
Logan is just fast. He never quits. He never lets off the gas at all. Sorry, Lucas. Go ahead.
Oh, no, you're fine. I mean, you know more about him than I do, but just from what he did with the Avs this season, I think that we need more players like that are willing to do the hard work, because we have a lot of really good shots, but I think we definitely would benefit from some more kind of just tough it out guys who can actually get in on shifts and not just kind of rush forward and shoot.
John, I think I know where your mind's going. I could probably see it in your eyes about that's playoff hockey, some tough 4th-liners that have a lot of energy that could dig in the corners and could take a defensive zone face-off, things like that.
You need both. I mean, and if you've got guys who can play both games, if you got guys who can play the rough stuff in the corners and can also have skill and can produce offensively. I mean, like a Dustin Bufflin, for example. I mean, those are the guys that you win championships with, but yeah, you need those guys. You need those energy guys. For your fourth line, especially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Connor's also great on the penalty kill. I think this year wasn't quite as outstanding, but last year I think he led the league in shorthanded goals.
That sounds right.
What was that?
Where are we going to go from here? I think we don't have any more questions, but I wanted to go back to Maria a little bit since she's the other AHL expert we have on the call. We know from Mario and from seeing a lot what actually goes on out in Rockford, just because we're so close to Chicago, and how the support for the fans, what the fans are for there. What kind of fan support is there out in Colorado for an AHL team?
Oh, it's amazing. We were ECHL up until just 2 seasons ago, and our barn is packed every single night, even weeknights. Now we have a small facility. It's 5,280 is the maximum capacity. So, it's not giant, but it's full every game, every night. Doesn't matter if it's a Tuesday, it's full.
I think Aaron wrote a really good experience piece on it, just because we went to one game this season, and it was crazy. Like, it was very loud.
Yeah, it's very loud. Yep.
Yeah, that's real good. I often wondered, and I know this is probably sacrilege to the people who are Ice Hogs fans, but I often wondered whether the Blackhawks would ever investigate, having the Wolves be their AHL team, because they're so close. They could shuttle people back even faster than Rockford, and it literally is right down the street. I often thought that maybe that would happen, but they have that strong foothold in Rockford. So, it's not happening anytime soon, but there could be, and we saw, some news a couple of weeks ago or maybe a month ago that there could be some more shuffling around going on. So.
Definitely.
And it worked out for Pacific level team or Pacific teams too. Like, one of the Anaheim Ducks defensemen, who I can't remember his name, he's now with Vegas. He used to practice with the San Diego Gulls and the Anaheim Ducks in like the same day. So
Shea
Theodore, exactly. Yep. And that's because San Diego and LA were just so it's a couple hour drive that Anaheim and San Diego were like a couple hour drive that he could do that. So
yeah,
I think with Rosemont and Chicago, it's on a good day you can make it downtown in like 45 minutes on 90.
Yeah.
So I mean that would be pretty good.
Well, I have to say, having Hartford and New York, I've been to both rinks, and not this year because the Wolfpack were really good this year, since they basically completely overhauled their system, got a new coach and everything like that. And the Rangers have done a really good job in the last 3 to 4 years of actually drafting well and signing players that could actually stick in the system, instead of just, players that they never thought were going to make it, because they kept trying to put teams out there that could possibly win with Henrik Lundqvist in net, but then they stuck to the rebuild. Before this year, nobody was ever at Hartford. I think I went to a game 2 years ago for $5, and I was 3 rows back from the ice, and there was nobody there. I want to say there were maybe 200 people there, and Hartford's not far from New York at all. I think it takes maybe an hour and a half to get there if you hit no traffic.
Right.
So I think it depends on how invested. I think with the Chicago fan base, it's definitely they'd be a lot more invested to go to those games if they were in Rosemont or something like that. But it all depends on the team. It all depends on the fan base, because the Rangers fan base is nowhere near that dedicated.
Anything you want to add to that, Mario, with the AHL talk? I know you don't want the Wolves to be there.
Well, yeah, I mean the location would be great.
You could almost walk there.
But I think for so long, the Wolves and the Blackhawks have been kind of competing for attention in the city, and I don't know what the relationship building would be between the two organizations, especially since Chicago prefers to operate independently. I mean, the setup would be great, but I think, the way that the Rockford Chicago partnership has gone for, the better part of 12, 13 years now. I think that's been working. I think both organizations feed into each other pretty well. To change that up would be interesting. And in all honesty, I feel like if the Blackhawks and Icehogs were not affiliated, I don't know how keeping a team in Rockford would be able to continue, given what team might pick them up as an affiliate or anything like that. You might end up seeing a situation like Vegas, if, let's say, hypothetical, like Seattle. I know Seattle has a team coming in, but if it was, the NHL was expanding and a team needed an AHL affiliate and Rockford was out there, if it's on the West Coast, there's no use in having a team in the Midwest if you need a team out on the coast or whatnot. So it would be different to see what they would do, but I really don't foresee that partnership splitting up for any reason other than, gosh, I don't even know, money. But for me, it seems like the partnership between those two teams has been strong for the last couple of years, and I don't really see anything changing that.
Yeah, and they seem to be pretty happy with what's going on out in Rockford.
Yeah,
right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I think we're out of questions. Except for the one that was asked first, which is what's the best Canadian food? I know John weighed in on that a little bit.
Yeah, I'll dive back in on it. So I spent a lot of time in Canada about 15, 20 years ago and in a lot of different places. And you won't get agreement from one place to another in Canada, by the way, about what the best foods are, because Canada's like 7 different small countries within one large country. And but a couple, so poutine is maybe the greatest food known to mankind if it's made the right way. You check my Twitter feed and see what I believe is the ultimate recipe for poutine. It's pretty simple. Involves a lot of duck fat. Montreal has some really good food. They've got the smoked meat sandwiches, which are basically corned beef sandwiches, which they can be good, they can be bad. They have a thing called a chev chaude, which literally means a hot goat. And it's a goat cheese sandwich that's really quite good for lunch. And then, but my favorite story about Canadian food is one time I was up in the Northwest Territories. I was fishing, and we had guides, and the guides were First Nations guides from the Dog Rib tribe up literally at the Arctic Circle. And there's this young guy who happened to be the chief. And we were having a shore lunch one day, and he cuts open the brain of a lake trout and takes out the brains and eats them raw.
Oh,
and it's apparently a delicacy in the northern First Nation tribes in Canada. So there's trout brain as well in Canada. It's a regional delicacy. But then there's there's stuff like Timbits, but I mean we get that crap here. So
I love
Timbits.
Timbits.
Timbits are the same as Dunkin' Donuts.
They're same thing. They're same thing. Dunkin' Munchkins, same thing.
No,
Yeah,
I don't see.
yeah, they're not.
I think Timmy's is so. I think Timmy's is better. That at least I had a cake donut and I thought it was delicious.
So Timbits. The only reason I don't like Munchkins, and I'm from the Northeast, so I'm like a Dunkin' Donuts connoisseur, is because they don't like, outside of the chocolate ones and the glazed ones, the other ones just all taste the same to me.
They do. That's true.
Have any flavor. And you go, like, when you get Timbits, they all have different flavors, at least. Like, they all taste different. They don't taste the same. That's why I like Timbits better personally. So
I will say the Dunkin' Donuts, the glazed ones, it's almost like you're eating nothing. They're so light and fluffy. There's
You're
nothing
just
to
eating
them.
sugar. It's awesome.
It's amazing.
I will say the poutine in French Canada is better than
Montreal.
Yeah, I mean that's where it sort of originated in French Canada.
Yeah.
Like I said, whole cut French fries, fried in duck fat with duck gravy, and then that white cheese. I'm not even sure what it is. I don't think it really matters at that point, but
No,
man,
you're
it's
just
so good.
So good.
So good.
What I found out when I was in Montreal about 2 months ago, that Five Guys has poutine.
Really?
Oh my
Yeah.
word,
Montreal.
that
Yeah,
sounds
they
amazing.
do.
Well,
Yeah.
they've got the fries for it. Those are perfect fries.
That's what I was gonna say.
It was
Yeah.
pretty good. I have to admit, I went a couple times because we were just eating mainly fast food. We didn't have a lot of time, but yeah, there was some good food. The hotel we stayed in had these breakfasts that were out of this world, and it was included with our room. So we're sitting down there in like jeans and t-shirt in this way too fancy restaurant, eating really good food. But and then when I was in Toronto a couple weeks later, we stayed up near Markham, that area, which is kind of where our Chris, our correspondent for Toronto, is up in that way. But I was actually in Thornhill up that way, and there's a very high Asian population there. So almost every restaurant is, at least anything local is Asian flavor one way or the other. So I did get to have some that's the first time I've had real ramen was up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's great,
Yeah.
there are great Chinese or Asian restaurants, actually Chinese primarily, in Vancouver. The best
Yeah.
Chinese Asian food I ever had was in Vancouver.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was in Vancouver last summer for a wedding, and we stayed in the Richmond area, and there were Asian restaurants all over the place, and fish was a big thing out there.
Yeah.
Fresh fish.
Yep.
It was good stuff.
Yeah.
Definitely
Agreed.
some of the best that I've had for sure.
The city of Toronto, I think, has five, or at least around, has 5 Chinatowns and a Koreatown. When I was there, it was they were celebrating Chinese New Year, I think, at that point, and it was crazy. It was a blast, but yeah.
Yeah.
I will say when we did go to Vancouver, once we landed, got our rental car, it was me, my wife, and a couple friends. We were going for a friend's wedding, and I was so annoying with them because I was like I need to get to a Tim Hortons now. I don't care what you get. You guys want to find the cannabis stores. We need to check into our Airbnb. I don't care. Get me to a Tim Hortons. I want a coffee and a box of Timbits now. I was very annoying with them, but I was like, I need to get there, and it lived up to my expectations. But I think I had maybe rose-colored glasses when I went to Tim Hortons because I'd never been there. So.
Well, I could say I could be swayed by Juliana with the Timbits thing, because I could see why the Timbits are probably better than the Dunkin' Donuts. But as far as the coffee goes, I am not a fan of Tim Hortons coffee at all, and I like coffee. I like
Dunkin'
good gourmet
either.
type of coffee, but I'm not a fan of it at all. It's just coffee out of a machine. It's like the same stuff you get at a gas station here, in Chicago or whatever. To me, that's what it tasted like to me. And I've had it a couple times because I thought maybe I got a bad batch. Maybe I ordered the wrong thing or something like that. And I've tried it several different places and it just didn't do it for me.
Yeah, that's what Dunkin's turning into up here. Like they're like, I don't know, double blending the coffee or something like that, or like double roasting, and it's just not, it doesn't taste the same
I
as
don't
it
like their
used to.
coffee.
I don't either.
Coffee talk.
Coffee talk. There's my New York accent. But yeah, I even go to Starbucks, and all I drink is cold brew. I hate Dunkin's cold brew. I think it's disgusting. So
I do the same thing.
Yeah.
Anyone else going to jump in on best Canadian foods? Got some opinions on any of this stuff?
No.
Mine's not a food. Mine's a candy. But two of my best friends live in Canada, and I went to visit them in January to go to a Leafs Canucks game. And I tried their Smarties, their chocolate covered candies, and those are easily the best chocolate candies I've ever had in my life. They're so good. And I want more.
I noticed there were similarities from when I was in England last year to when I was in Canada. Some of the candy was very similar. You get it in both places, but you don't get it here in the US. It's like those air bars that have the real light chocolate.
Aero bars,
yeah, the Aero bars. Those are really good, but they don't have them here in the US.
Yeah, we also have our Cadbury here is awful compared to their Cadbury up there.
That's true.
I don't know
Very
what
true.
the difference is, but I just like their Cadbury more. And whenever I go there, I buy a shit ton of it so I can bring it back home because my parents love it.
And of course, you
Parents
claim
love
it at customs, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally. Of course. I don't sneak it in my luggage or anything.
But I do want to make a shout out. When I was in Denver a couple years ago, Voodoo Donuts, the Voodoo Donuts in
I
Denver.
love Voodoo
Can't.
Donuts.
It's like everything they have is like way too sweet.
Yeah, they're like
Yeah.
works of art.
When I was
Like,
in high
they're so
school,
good.
when I was in high school in Denver, I was on a robotics team where we did like actual like competitions. It was fun, but they would just get us this humongous box of Voodoo Donuts before competitions because they went for like 10 hours. So we had to like just sugar high the whole way through, and now I can't do it anymore.
Oh my God. My brother used to do robotics and he went upstate for a trip once. And literally the only thing he had the entire day was like a bacon, egg, and cheese from Dunkin'. And he got it at 6 o'clock in the morning and they weren't done until like 8 o'clock at night.
Yep, that's robotics.
And yeah, it's awful. It's like, it's so much fun and it's cool to watch, but it's just so long.
It's
Living
funny.
on energy drinks.
We competed in Magnus Arena where DU competes, so that whole like area is super familiar, which is fun.
Awesome.
I will say when I was in Canada, I did try Gretzky's whiskey. Pretty good.
Interesting.
I just found out that existed like 2 days ago.
I'm just learning now. I didn't even realize it.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
He's got his own whiskey. It's I mean, I've seen it at Benny's too, so it's available.
It's around. Okay.
It's around for sure. But my buddy got a bottle of it when we were up there, and we had some of it. It was pretty good. Not the worst celebrity alcohol that I've seen. So.
Hey, if we're bringing up whiskey, Screwball whiskey with a little bit of grape juice in it, the PB&J, because Screwball is peanut butter whiskey.
Yeah,
peanut butter whiskey.
That's
It is
that
good.
stuff's good.
Yeah,
and I'm not a drinker. I'm not a big drinker at all. Like,
I'm not either.
You know,
I don't.
Yeah, it's very good. I saw someone on my hockey team who actually put jelly in with the Screwball whiskey and mixed it up in the drink. That is a shot.
So speaking of Canada and intoxicants, not including alcohol, I am working on getting the pot doctor of Canada to guest on our podcast here, who also happens to be one of our very big Blackhawks fan.
Be amazing.
Like Hart. So I've got a feeler out to him, and I've known Mike for 8 or 9 years. Really good guy. So we'll see if we could get him on the show.
You do a bonus episode of that, yeah.
Yeah, he does a lot. He does a lot of work with NHL players in training, and really smart guy. And he's a big Hawk fan too. So we'll see if we can get Mike on.
Did he work with Mike Richards at all?
I don't know. Funny. So they're both from Newfoundland. No, not Mike Richards. I'm thinking of Brad Richards.
Yeah.
Mike is from Newfoundland. I think Brad Richards is from Prince Edward Island, but so they're Maritimes guys too. So it's a Canada thing.
That would be fun. That would be a good time.
That would be pretty sweet.
All right. Well, to wrap things up, I think we'll go around the whole the table here. Just what have you been doing for the last 3 weeks to keep yourself sane? What's been going through your head? Just random thought, anything. Just give us a little idea what's been going on in your world, and then we'll get out of here for the night. So we'll start with Mr. Jekyll, since he's my top left on my screen. So what have you been doing?
So I've been doing a lot of work. We've had some layoffs at my office. So there's been a lot of adjustments with that. Fortunately, very fortunately, and gratefully, I was not one of those people. So there's that, and that's been stressful. I was myself pushing 400 pounds as of about 2 weeks ago. So I've gone back on intermittent fasting, and so far so good. That usually works for me. And so other than that, though, it's like I don't know what day it is. Today was my wedding anniversary. I didn't know what day it was.
Happy anniversary!
Happy anniversary!
So, thanks, guys. So that's I don't think my story's special, but yes, legitimately, I was probably pushing 3 bills.
And I did notice that I think your lovely wife did tune into the web, the Facebook Live. So we all want to say a happy anniversary, even though John didn't.
Thanks, dude.
All right, I'm going to go clockwise here. So Juliana, on my screen, you're next.
Oh, I've been doing a whole lot of nothing. I mean, I'm still in school. It's my senior year, so it kind of sucks that this is all happening and that I can't go back to Boston except to move out of my apartment. But I'm still in class, so I have class on Mondays and Wednesdays, still doing stuff for the Pride. So I've been busy, but right when this whole quarantine started, I had knee surgery. It was pretty minor, so I've been recovering from that, trying to get my strength back up in my leg, taking my dog for walks because that's the only thing I can really do. It's pretty, it's big here in New York, so like we can't really go out and do as much as some other states, I guess, and we're a little bit more hesitant to go places and go to the store. So just kind of in the house, just teaching myself new skills with good design, taking class, just working, doing a whole bunch of nothing besides that.
That's going to be, I think, a lot of people's answers. Most of it. Lucas, you're next.
Yeah, I'm also in school, so I do that Monday, Wednesday, Friday, which I'm not good at remote school. I think it's ADHD.
No, me either.
Not really doing well.
I honestly think it's so much harder.
Yeah, I mean, I was doing really well actually before this all happened, and now I just, it'll happen. And then I work every other day, so I've been really busy, a little bit too busy.
Yeah. Mario.
Yeah, I mean, I've been walking my dog, seems like 5 times a day, and just trying to be safe and everything. I visited my parents, at a safe distance this last couple of days ago, and
yelled at them from the street.
Yeah. No, I just helped them around the house, and I actually, I was there just to see them in person, because I was just like, okay, I can stay far enough away from you guys. I'm not going to hang around in the house, just to, be as safe as possible. But like just seeing people in person was like great. Yeah. So it was good to visit them, see them a little bit. I also did pick up something from their house that is a new / old form of entertainment for me. I picked up my original Xbox.
Oh yeah.
And
I still have mine somewhere. I should pull it out.
Yeah, and my plethora of games, which includes both NHL 2002 and 2006.
Wow.
So I'm firing up some old terrible Blackhawks teams and trying to rebuild them. The one thing I forgot about NHL 06 is that both Brent Seabrook and Duncan Keith are not in the game, which is bogus because they both played on that team in 2005. So I'm a little upset about that. Yeah, a little upset. Well, it's original Xbox, so there's no online updates every 2 weeks like the new games. So I'm just going through some old nostalgia, trying to entertain myself and stay busy. Like I said before, I'm going to be finishing up that Ice Hogs season wrap up piece. I'll be doing that by the end of this week. Should be good.
Awesome.
Should be good to go this weekend.
Awesome. Sean, what have you been up to?
So I'm fortunate enough to be working from home as well. I deal in security cameras and like internet cabling. So I've been quoting a lot of thermal cameras to people. I actually sold 125 cameras to a contractor that installed them at Metro South Hospital out in Blue Island as one of the alternate sites here in Illinois. So I've been kind of crazy doing that during the day. My wife is a fourth grade teacher. So she does like a video chat during the day and then reads. She's got the Harry Potter picture books. So she reads to her kids, any kids that want to come in the Google chat in the afternoon. I generally catch myself listening when I'm on lunch. The End of Chamber of Secrets is great. And then
oh my gosh.
I've been obsessed with, we don't have sports to follow, so I've just been following the pandemic on Twitter. I'm actually going to buy the flu pandemic book that everybody keeps referencing about the 1918 flu and read that. And I just finished reading Michael Lewis's The Fifth Risk, which kind of talks about just civil servants and how, like, what the transition was from the Obama administration to the current administration. And I know Michael Lewis is pretty much famous for Moneyball, and that's the only other book I'd ever read by him. So that was kind of that. And then just kind of, my sister's got a 10-month-old little boy, and so we get videos and pictures of him. And since the quarantine has started, he's gone from not being able to crawl to army crawl to crawling to he was just walking with like a push thing today. So
Aw.
I think he's going to be walking, and he's already like, my sister's like, he doesn't stop. And I'm like, he's going to be walking and you're going to lose. You're going to be done. So
Yeah, that's the worst part is when they start walking, because you could lay them down and they can't move. Then you're good. When they can move,
yeah,
all bets are off.
So
Then that changes.
those are like the highlights of my day when we FaceTime. We FaceTime them a couple times, and he gets like and grabs the phone or knocks it over, or he'll realize you're talking to him and he'll just go and then flash the smile. So that's what we've been doing to stay
That's
sane.
good. Matt, I know we haven't gone to you much, and I apologize for that. But
No,
Matt,
no problem.
what have you been doing?
Also been fortunate enough to work from home, so that's been good. I work for a garage door parts company, so we sell all kinds of garage door parts all over the U.S. So I do a bunch of website work, so been keeping busy with that, learning new stuff there, learning new ways of doing it because it's not at the office anymore. So yeah, playing some old school video games. Keep saying too, playing a little GameCube. Not an Xbox guy as a kid, more of a GameCube guy. So
GameCube.
that was my system. But
What's the go-to game?
Animal Crossing for sure.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Is for sure the go-to. And we even have a Switch over here too. So
Yeah.
we're playing the
Ooh,
newest
there you
one, and
go.
that's been pretty sweet. That new one it's worth playing. It's worth having.
I've been hearing a lot about Animal Crossing. Can I get a quick synopsis of what it is?
Please.
So essentially you move to a town that's populated by animal villagers, and you're in debt to a raccoon. But you pay off debt.
So Lucas is
selling-
exactly right, guys.
You sell you can gather fruit and fish and catch butterflies. And as you pay off your debt, you can improve your house. In previous games, you could only really decorate the inside of your house. There's a lot of furniture to collect, but the new one you can decorate the whole island and change it. So I've played every game in the series, but this one's definitely the best.
It sounds like the plot to Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yeah.
So when does Thor show up then?
You just do the snap.
Oh man.
So what? That's about it, Matt. You just hanging in there?
So yeah, just hanging in here. Yeah.
Cool. Marie, how have you been keeping together? I know if you don't follow Marie, she writes books as well. So she doesn't just cover hockey. She writes books about hockey players.
I do not write books about hockey. I should write books about hockey players. It's actually a very hot selling little sub niche in my genre. But no, my day job is writing romance novels. I have the 4th book in a 4-book series to write, and I just knocked it out in record time for me. I'm not a super fast writer, so record time for me. Apparently not having sports is really good for my productivity because there's no reason to open Twitter. I open Twitter and everybody's just, arguing over who's social distancing the best.
Yeah, screaming at each other.
I don't want it. Yeah, so when there's no hockey and no football for me to follow on Twitter, then I end up actually doing my work and writing a book. So anyway, wrote my book. I knit. That's my other hobby.
Nice.
That's about all I've been doing.
Yeah. Eric, what have you been up to?
Yeah, well, we had been planning on moving for a while, just moving to a different apartment in the same town, and we kind of were getting a little bit nervous about if we would be able to do that. So we actually sped up the process a little bit and made sure that we would be able to do that. So we moved pretty much about a month ago. So still trying to get settled in here. There's still tons to get put away and figure out where things need to go and cleaning and everything. So that's a big thing. And my dad needed me to make a website for his business. So I spent a lot of time last week putting that together. I'd done some kind of nothing overly special websites in the past, but actually making a pretty professional one was definitely a new skill that I had to learn. So just kind of figuring that all out and Yeah, those pretty much been the two big things.
Well, congratulations on the move.
Thanks.
Yeah. I know it's probably good for you guys, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Our old apartment was just not good. There was mold issues, ants, all kinds of stuff. And where we are now is everything is brand new. It's a building from 1915 that they pretty much like gutted out and redid everything. So everything is in absolutely perfect condition and everything. So it's awesome.
Cool. Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing the same thing you guys have been doing. I work from home every day. I have since like my birthday, March 11th, I think. And I've probably left my neighborhood 3 times in the last month and a half. The closest thing I do is go to the gas station if I need something, or the local grocery store. We don't spend much time in there, and my kids are doing their virtual learning from home. My wife does lectures. She's way smarter than I am, and she does lectures for UIC. So she's doing that stuff. But luckily, in my industry, I do IT work, and I don't want to get too particular, but I do IT work, and people are definitely dipping into the IT market right now, especially the government and healthcare and stuff like that. So we're as busy as can be, and I'm planning on being as busy as can be through probably the rest of the year. So, and then actually, I'll be honest, I miss hockey. Oh, I do miss hockey, but there's sometimes when I'm like, God, I'm kind of glad this painful season isn't going on right now, because it was really starting to get to be tiring. And, it was going to end the way it was going to end. The Blackhawks were going to do much better than they are right now. And they weren't going to make the playoffs, and it was just going to kind of die. They were going to die a slow death through March and into the first, week of April. So I'm not really missing.
Sorry, those of us here in Colorado can't quite relate, but
hey, you guys had big plans. You guys had big plans.
Yeah.
Aaron was getting the parade ready.
Yeah.
And Ray would have said a parade to the second round.
Yeah.
Getting the DU parade ready.
Yeah. So, well, I think we're going to keep doing this probably every couple weeks. Maybe if anything important happens and we want to get together, we'll just do it when we feel it's relevant. But I'm going to release this as a podcast. Thanks for everyone for joining the call today. But make sure you guys head over to www.rink.com. See all our good stuff. Eric's got something coming out soon.
There you go, Sean. There you go.
Yeah, there you
Sean.
go. Representing. I want to see that tattooed on your arm next time.
I don't think I couldn't survive a needle like that.
No
They're
tattoo
really not
shops
that
are
bad,
open.
I promise.
I got autoimmune issues. That's why I couldn't do it.
Yeah. Follow us on all the Twitters and everything like that. I will in the description, I will have everyone tagged with all their Twitter tags and everything like that. So follow everyone. And rate review the podcast. There's going to be some changes as far as the podcast goes. So that's coming up, but everything's good here.
Speaking of which, sorry for the interruption.
No, you're fine.
If anyone out there among our illustrious and large and growing listener base is interested in being an advertiser on the Rinkcast, we've got a place for you, and it's a very cost-effective opportunity in terms of your outlay to be our advertiser. You may this may come as some surprise, but Rink listeners tend to be affluent and discerning and very interested in hockey, but also other things like alcohol. Just send either Jeff or myself, or send a DM to the Rink official account at Twitter. If you're interested, and we could talk about it and work something out. So anyway, yes.
Oh yeah, you can use the email address staff@the-rink.com. That will get us that if you want to do it that way. Several different ways of getting that done. So yeah. So I think we're good, right? Good. Okay.
Good.
Well, I guess with all that being said, as I normally finish the Rinkcast, until next episode, see you on the rink.
Bye, all you cats and kittens.
All right.
See you, everybody.
All right, I'm going to get out of Facebook Live mode here.